Hi, my name is Caroline Finn and I'm the Artistic Director of National Dance Company of Wales, and I have just finished my creation of a new piece called Folk. Folk is a piece which is largely about social dynamics. I love to watch people, I love to watch their little idiosyncrasies, how people behave when they're alone compared to how they behave when they're in a group. And I love sort of asking myself questions about what makes people be part of a group and what ostracizes people. So the piece is about that, but I wanted to create a setting for this piece to take place, so it's sort of a little society which is slightly surreal, or let's say there's a heightened sense of reality within this society. So it's this community where little stories and little relationships sort of play out. Whenever I create a piece, it's always slightly different. Depends on who I'm working with and what I want the piece to be about, what I want the piece to say. But for Folk, it was a combination of factors. Firstly, I was away for a little while before Christmas, and I knew that I was going to have quite a short creation process. So I actually set the dancers some tasks that they could work on themselves whilst I was away. And we communicated via video, so I could see what they were doing and give them feedback. And these tasks were mostly about trying to build a character. I gave them some 17th and 18th century oil paintings that I wanted them to look at and try and find inspiration from certain figures. So individually they all started building characters and finding physicalities for their individual characters, which then when I came back, I developed them, I adapted them a little bit. And actually the first thing I did when I came back was teach the dancers a large phrase of movement, because that was really important for me to get to know the dancers that way and for them to also become familiar with my way of movement. And yeah, that large phrase became our sort of vocabulary for the piece, and we've used it in many different ways, in many different settings. They've incorporated it into their characters. It was a really interesting process with the designers, and very inspiring. They made me think about a lot of things that I think I wouldn't have thought of. I spoke to them both about my general ideas for the piece, what I wanted to say, what I wanted it to be about, and that I definitely wanted to create a little universe, a little world on stage. And I talked about it being very human but slightly surreal at the same time, so that there was just something a bit off, and I think you see that very clearly in the idea that Joe Fletcher had for the set, with this upside down tree, so something actually very natural, very normal, a tree, but in terms of the colour and the placement, the fact that it's upside down, it just turns the world slightly, well, literally on its head. And then with Gabby Slade, we sort of went, in terms of costumes, into a little bit of a dark fairy tale world, but still based in humanity. And we looked at lots of different artists together to see who inspired us. And she asked me some very interesting questions, like, did these people live in houses or did they live outside? And I thought, wow, I haven't even asked myself that question yet, and I probably should have. So, no, it was an interesting process.